At 29th Street provides more than 550 eco-friendly units for lower-income families who can either rent or own. There's a community room, space to enjoy the outdoors, and even a computer room where kids like Ribaldo can learn. The site was built on what was once an industrial block.
It means a rebirth of this neighborhood, this community, this block. This was a former site of a plating company that was making people sick. We had cancer clusters over here.
This project here is exactly the kind of change in the community that we need to continue on.
Children from the nearby 28th Street Elementary School helped design some of the artwork mosaic tiles. A later phase of the project will see a park or other outdoor space put in. But for now, just a safe, clean place to call home. I'm Anna Marcos for LA This Week.
The project was a joint effort by the LA Housing Department, the Community Redevelopment Agency, Councilmember Jan Perry's office, and the community at large. The Battle of the Badges blood drive, a drought-resistant lawn for City Hall, and routes announced for the next Ciclavia event. These stories and more in City Beat. The 6th annual Red Cross Battle of the Badges blood drive pitted LA's men and women in blue against the city's firefighters in a friendly competition to see which department can donate the most blood. The blood drive was held at the LAPD Academy in Elysian Park.
So far the turnout has been great, actually. The lines are so long, we're going to have to reschedule some people and have them return to a later time or a different facility.
The Battle of the Badges campaign ends on February 18th with the final tally to be announced in March. There may just be a silver lining to the destruction caused last fall to the City Hall lawn by the Occupy LA encampment. The Los Angeles City Council has approved a plan to restore the 1.7-acre park surrounding City Hall that would save the city about $2,000 per year in water costs. The estimated $390,000 landscape design calls for a little more than half of the grass to be substituted by native plants or a gravel-like surface. However, the lawn will cost more annually to maintain than the current lawn. The city plans to begin work on the new landscape immediately. LA's next car-free street closure event for cyclists, skaters, and pedestrians, or Ciclavia, takes place on April 15th. 10 miles of roadways will temporarily close to traffic for this fourth Ciclavia, which will expand to include the Central Boyle Heights to East Hollywood route, plus the original route through East Hollywood, Koreatown, Westlake, downtown LA, and Little Tokyo. For more information, go to ciclavia.org. USS Lane Victory, seen here at its former berth, berth 94 at the cruise ship promenade, has relocated to berth 46 just south of Cabrillo Way Marina, where it will remain for approximately 9 months. The move is being made to accommodate construction and wharf expansion at the nearby berth. Built in Los Angeles in 1945, the SS Lane Victory served with distinction during World War II, the Korean War, and the Vietnam War. Now a nationally recognized historic landmark, the SS Lane Victory now serves as a museum. And we'll have more information later in the Things to Do segment on how you can take a ride to Catalina on the SS Lane Victory. LA's African American history reaches back hundreds of years. A yearly celebration at City Hall recalls and honors that proud heritage. Here's Rich Samuels.
Where we sat down.
The mayor and the Los Angeles City Council recently celebrated the beginning of African American Heritage Month. This year's theme, Stepping Back into the Future.
It's important in this town that we all acknowledge that we're better for the diversity that we revel in.
Each Heritage Month celebration is also an opportunity to recognize those individuals that have made especially notable contributions to the city of Los Angeles. This year's Spirit of Los Angeles Award was presented to Cheryl Lee Ralph, an actress, singer, and activist, especially in HIV/AIDS education and awareness.
I am so happy to call Los Angeles my home, and I will continue to carry on with the spirit of Los Angeles.
I love it.
Thank you.
Walter Mosley received the Dream of Los Angeles Award. He's a best-selling author of 38 books, ranging from crime novels to nonfiction, political essays, science fiction, and young adult.
For Los Angelinos, any goal is achievable. We live side by side with the sky and sea, speak innumerable languages, have created an Eden out of the desert, grew from a population of 200,000 to tens of millions. And all of that was before breakfast.
Dr. Keith L. Black is a world-renowned neurosurgeon and scientist, currently serving as chairman and professor of the Department of Neurosurgery and director of the Maxine Dunitz Neurological Institute at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. This year, he was the recipient of the Hope of Los Angeles Award.
I, too, have hope, with the expect and confidence that our mayor and our city council and our leaders and we collectively will continue to make Los Angeles an even better place for the generations to come.
Following the city council ceremony, the mayor and his honored guests headed outside and across the street to Fletcher Bowen Square, where the festivities continued. From downtown Los Angeles, I'm Rich Samuels for LA This Week.
And in this week's list of things to do, a ride to Catalina on a historic vessel, celebrating the first American to orbit Earth, and a year-round farmers market. After its move from berth 94 to berth 46 at the Port of Los Angeles, the SS Lane Victory Museum reopens to the public on Monday, February 13th. Berth 46 is located south of the intersection at 22nd and Minor Streets. Regular hours of the SS Lane Victory Merchant Marine Museum and Memorial are from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. daily. Admission is $5 for adults and $2 for children. The SS Lane Victory also makes day trips to Catalina Island on select Saturdays during the summer. The first cruise date will be July 28th. More information on the cruise and the museum can be found at lanevictory.org. The Griffith Observatory celebrates the 50th anniversary of the historic flight of the first American to orbit Earth in 1962. On Sunday, February 19th, Griffith Observatory will commemorate the anniversary of the flight of Friendship 7, in which John Glenn became the first American to orbit the Earth, with 2 free lectures, one at 4 and one at 6:30 p.m. Astronomical observer Anthony Cook will present the lectures in the Leonard Nimoy Event Horizon Theater. For more info, go to griffithobs.org. While some farmers markets are closed during the winter, the Encino Farmers Market stays open year-round, so you can find those delicious items that are in season during the winter, such as mushrooms, clementines, and root vegetables. The Encino Farmers Market is open every Sunday from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. at One Generation Center at 17400 Victory Boulevard, Lake Balboa. And remember, you can find this information on our Facebook page. And that's a look at some upcoming things to do. And that's going to do it for this edition. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ellen Chang. A reminder that you could catch us online at lacityview.org. You can also follow us on Facebook for stories you might have missed. We'll see you back here next week for more of LA This Week.
Theater is for everyone.
We tell the stories that are not being told.
This is where the best shit goes down.
You get to see art acted out in real time.
Doing theater that reflects what LA looks like.
LATC is me. LATC is me.
LATC is me. LATC is me.
LATC is me.
I'm alive in Los Angeles.
Sadie, welcome to the Pacific Palisades, and you're watching Channel 35. It's our city and our channel.
This is a meeting of the Los Angeles City Council. It's the 14th day of February. It's Valentine's Day. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Alarcon, Buscaino, Cardenas, Englander, Garcetti, Weezer, Caress, Krikorian, Labange, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Zion, Weston, Timmons present, and a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. This is Tuesday, the start of our meeting. We welcome everybody to the John Ferraro Chambers. At this time, I'd like to call for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Excuse me, Mr. President. First, approval of the minutes would be in order.
Approval of the minutes. So ordered by Mr. Krikorian, Mr. Garcetti. Next.
Community resolutions for approval.
All approved. Forthwith on those. Next.
Mr. President, today is Tuesday. Now would be the time for the flag salute.
I'll ask everyone to please rise, and we certainly want to welcome Bernard Parks from the 8th District back, and ask you, Councilmember Parks, if you could lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Mr. President. Everyone stand, face the flag, put their right hand over their heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Parks. First items, Madam Clerk.
Items 1 and 2 are items noticed for public hearing. Yes, for public hearing.
Okay, so we'll call those special for public hearing. Next.
Excuse me, Mr. President. There are cards on item number 1, and item number 2 remains if it wishes to be called special by any members.
Anyone want to call that special? Not special, so let's vote on item number 2. Just open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Thank you. Next item.
Items 3 through 12 are items for which public hearings have been held.
Are any special members 3 through 12? 3 through 12. No members call anything special 3 through 12. Good committee work, members. That's what we like to see. So let's open the roll 3 through 12. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
10 ayes. So ordered. Next item.
And item number 3, the ordinance will be held over for 1 week.
Very good. Unless 2 other members show up today, we'll call it back if it does. Thank you.
Items 13 through 23 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes required for consideration.
Let's open the roll for consideration. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
All right, for consideration of those items, Mr. Weezar.
Number 15 special, please.
15 special for Mr. Weezar. Any other items special, members? And do we have cards on any of those items?
Yes, on 13, 14, 21, and 22.
Okay, so call those special. Next item.
Mr. President, council may vote on the remaining items if you wish.
No one's called item 20 special? So we want to, well, I'm going to call it special because I have a, can I do that? Okay, I'll call it special. Thank you very much. All right, next item.
Mr. President, you may vote on the remaining items.
Let's vote on the remaining items. So open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
Next item.
Item 24 is a closed session item. Do you wish to hold this on the desk?
Excuse me, repeat, Madam Clerk.
Item 24 is a closed session item. Do you wish to hold this on the desk?
Yes, I certainly do until we complete the business so we can call the city attorneys over near the hour they should report. Thank you. Hold it on the desk. Next item.
On the supplemental agenda, item 25 is an item for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes required for consideration.
All right, open the vote for consideration. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
10 ayes. Very good. Next item.
Now, Mr. President, you need to vote on that item, unless someone wishes to call it special.
No, that's very good, Madam Clerk. All right, no consideration, no special. Let's vote on this matter. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
10 ayes.
So ordered. Next item.
Mr. President, that would take you to items called special or general public comment.
Okay, right here. I have a couple public comment cards here. Members, I'm going to take public comment right now. And all the cards I have now is for public comment. I'm going to close public comment as we get the cards. Thank you. First item here, we have Phyllis Doherty, Bill Huey, and Chancey Martel from Ty-Town. Line up right there. Thank you.
You ready?
Please go ahead. Thank you.
Good morning, Phyllis Doherty. I am calling you, I'm here today so that you will be aware that there is not one captain in any animal shelter in charge in this city right now. They were all put on suspension, on administrative leave, no charges filed against them as of Sunday. Animal Services operates as a chain of command law enforcement agency. Right now, you have captains with 20 to 30 years service sitting at home, and our animal shelters are being supervised and their field enforcement by kennel supervisors who cannot maintain field operations. There's a witch hunt being performed by a general manager with not one day of animal control experience, Brenda Barnett, an assistant general manager with not one day of animal control experience, Mr. John Chavez, and an operations manager with approximately 1 year at the lowest level animal control officer experience. And those are the people in whose hands the safety of the city of Los Angeles is being placed. If there's a disaster or a serious fire, there will be no one to go out and handle the command operations that will know how to make the animals and the people of this city safe, and they are paying for that service. I want to show you Mr. Salazar's records. This is when he was working for the Humane Society, and he would not allow the books to be audited by the county. He left that position very shortly thereafter. This is the discrimination suits that cost the city of Riverside a great deal of money. He left there under administrative leave. These are the people who are making the decisions today in place of our veteran officers, and you should call an executive session and find out what is going on. They have not been charged with a crime. They should be on their jobs. The city is paying for their salary, and we're paying for their services.
Thank you, Mrs. Doherty. Mr. Huey, stand for a minute. Sit down for just a second. Members, I erred in my preparation for a moment. Item 20, let's put it before us right now, Madam Clerk. Let's call up item 20 on that. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Thank you very much. I made an error. I apologize. Now, my error is now to call on Mr. Zine. Thank you.
Not an error, but could we make that forthwith, please?
Forthwith. Very good. Error, AIR, Dennis, AIR. Let's have a little fun in this world. It's Valentine's Day. I love you, Dennis. Next item will be our public comment. Let's call Bill Huey, and as well as Chauncey. You're next after Bill. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Council President and members of the LA City Council. My name is Bill Huey. I'm president of Fair Housing Coalition, fairhousingcoalition.com. This is Mr. Henry Ely. He's a good guy. He owns an apartment building, and what happened to him is outrageous. The LAHD sends an inspector. They inspect his building, and they tell him that a vent has to be moved for a hot water heater. He brings in a plumber. They move the vent. The next inspector comes out and says, no, that's not proper. It's got to be moved this way. So the second inspector disagrees with the first inspector. Then they put him in REAP. Meanwhile, they're sending him fines. He's paying these fines. And because they say they're not getting there on the exact due date and they can't prove it, they multiply the fines. You know, the fines are 300% now. And then finally he appeals it. He pays $400 to appeal it. It takes him a year, and they say, no, we're keeping your money. You didn't win the appeal. So here, he's still in REAP, and this is all because he followed the advice of two housing inspectors who conflicted. And on top of that, the plumber did make a mistake. He didn't close it out in time, so now they want him to pay a whole new permit. I mean, the whole housing department, their method of operation, the landlord is constantly treated like the bad guy. This man has spent thousands, and we're talking about an air duct, a vent for a hot water heater, not a life or death matter, and this man tried to comply. Now, the building's in Councilman Garcetti's district, and I'm not putting you on the spot. It's just that I just want to make the whole council, I come here a couple times a month to make the council aware that these are minor infractions. They're not intent. They're just infractions where the code has been changed or something, and the man tries to comply, and they come at him like he's a criminal. This is outrageous. We need a division of the housing department or a separate agency that can resolve matters when landlords have gone beyond the call of duty to do the right thing, and they're still getting beat up by the housing department. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you very much on that, too. Mr. Garcetti.
I'll just have my deputy come on the particular case and see what we can do to address that. Thank you, Mr. Hui.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Garcetti. From the Thai Community Development Corporation, Chansey.
Good morning, honorable council members. Being that it's Valentine's Day, I'm here to express my great love for Los Angeles, this great city of ours. And I have with me my fellow Asian American brothers and sisters who are here to also demonstrate how much they love Los Angeles too. And we want your love too. Don't break our heart by discounting us. We have a voice. We have a presence. We occupy a space. We have a history associated with a location. We need to dispel the model minority myth that Asians are economically well off and well educated. There are many Asians in LA that's suffering and are living in poverty, have needs and need resources and services, and most of all, accountability from all of you. That's why in the redistricting process, we really want to protect all of the communities of interest and ensure that all of our towns are kept whole and in one district. And we hope that you will give us importance and not sidestep us as you consider the redistricting remapping. Thank you very much.
Kampum Kap. Thank you. Next, I'd like to call on Ms. Ng, KCCD. Thank you.
Happy Valentine's Day, council members. My name is Hae Pin Im with Korean Churches for Community Development. Again, I'm here with our fellow brothers and sisters of the API community. You know, Dr. Martin Luther King said that we must learn to live as brothers or die as fools. And I believe that the API community is one that is very vibrant, and especially with the rising of the Pacific Rim countries, I think that LA has a lot to gain by having the API community at the table. Unfortunately, Connie Rice, her report, the 600-page report a while back, there were 2 lines about the API community and stated that the monolingual, limited English-speaking Asian communities were seriously underserved by the city. So we're here to say things are not right. And we love the city of Los Angeles. We want to be part of this community. Please, in the redistricting process, consider us as one of your brothers and sisters. Thank you.
Kamsahamnida. Alex Cha.
Thank you, council member. Good morning, council members. Happy Valentine's Day. My name is Alex Cha. I'm from Korean American Democratic Committee. We are here today, Asian Americans and in particular Korean Americans, to show our presence and to be heard in this great city. This year marks the 20th anniversary of LA riots. And we wish and desire to live peacefully amongst all of us. But at the same time, we need to be heard. Asian Americans have grown tremendously. It is time for us to have our own district. It is time for us to be on the table. This is a time for that, and we request the council members to seriously consider our request. Thank you.
Thank you. Marco Khan, Khan. Forgive me.
Sorry, I didn't recognize my own name. Good morning.
Tom Labangi, I apologize.
That's all right. My name is Mariko Khan. I'm actually a resident of District 11. And I noticed that when the Westchester residents came out in protest for the way the redistricting proposal first appeared, that there was a very positive response from certain city council members, and they were willing to take another look. I live near Westchester. My business is in Westchester. Of course, I want Westchester to stay in District 11, but I'm also an Asian American. And as an Asian American, I think it's important for the City Council to recognize the need to see our communities of interest and to keep us whole. And I hope you will keep that in mind when we go through the redistricting process. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. Sean Murphy. Pass.
May we have Anthony Park go next?
I have no cards for Mr. Park. I only have cards for those who I called. Sean Murphy.
Yes, good morning, President, City Council. How you doing? Our streets still need to be repaid, and our Archbishop, I might as well tell you right now, our Archbishop is not very happy for what Mr. Obama said about abortion bills. He's outlashing Mr. Obama. He's not very happy about it, and I'm not either, so thank you.
Thank you very much. Your card has come here now. Anthony Park.
Happy Valentine's Day. I'm Reverend Seon Park. I'm representing the Council of Korean Churches in Southern California. Usually, the Korean church is silent and invisible. But at this time, we want to be part of our community. Last 42 years, the Council of Korean Churches in Southern California was serving the local churches and neighbors. At this moment, we want to say, we want to be part of our community. And so, as an API, we want to be represent. So, tomorrow night hearing, we want to submit over 5,000 petitions in order to asking as a one group represent API to our city, and we want to contribute. So please understand and support us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, all of you. That completes the cards that were placed. Happy Valentine's to everybody. Look forward to working with you. Mr. Matt Dow. Zuma Dog. Daniel Gleis.
All right, thank you. Yes, Matt Dowd, and I'm here because of an experience that happened to me in Asia when I was in Thailand, and I was in this music store, and this I was just jamming on a guitar because I was in Thailand just hanging out. And this guy goes, "You got to go to this village." So I go to this village just because this guy, it's one of those moments, and I go to this village. And I didn't know it, but then they had this bar there, and they had Marshall amps and Fender guitars and all these things, and I was jamming out, and that's where I met a couple of American guys who invited me back here. They were from Santa Barbara. So, but that happened in a village called Pai, which is north of Chiang Mai in Thailand. So I came a long way, but I was dragged here because one of the guys, he had the most uncanny resemblance to my late brother. So there was a significant thing I had to pay attention to, and that's why I'm here. And I tried to it's been years now, we tried to settle these lawsuits at Venice Beach, and it's Bill Rosendahl who's holding it all up for some reason, but I've got a preliminary injunction now. Hands up, how many people in the room have a preliminary injunction against the city of Los Angeles and Tom LaBonge? I mean, I got a federal injunction against you and your permits. So it's a greater cause that got me here and kept me here and is still keeping me here, because things have to be righted, and you're still violating people over the dumbest things, The guy walks up with the shirt that says, "Fuck you," and you're...
Hey, cut it off right now. Cut it off. Your time is up. That's disrupting a meeting. Thank you very much. You're over. Next person is Mr. Dog. Sergeant, would you escort him out, please?
Hey, let's not be violating any federal laws, y'all. Let's not be violating any federal laws, y'all. Plus, that's my ride home. I'm sure you're gonna. First of all, it's great to see Councilmember Parks is back. Thank God for Councilmember Bernard Parks, who I love so much as a human being and council member, and the only council member worth a damn in this chambers, and I absolutely mean that. And I'd like to say that I will always love you. I will always love you. Councilmember Parks and Whitney Houston. Thank you. Now, I'd like to ask the city council, why is Carmen Turtanich spending a bottomless pit of general fund money on outside counsel? This firm, Myers-Nave, maybe you heard of them. They're like the most expensive outside counsel firm in the USA. So he's about to spend millions of dollars in outside counsel to delay paying a winning damages claim, of which would be a fraction. So I'd like you to investigate, because I heard the way it works is that, that you're running for DA, you put Myers-Nave on it, then they contribute to your campaign, and then they have their cronies contribute to your campaign. It sounds like quid pro quo to get Myers-Nave business to drag out, and I'm SSI disabled. Okay, so imagine when I'm in a jury, and I say, you violated me for 4 years, okay? And the federal court said so, and now I'm so disabled that you haven't seen me in a year, and then we'll see what the jury has to say. So Carmen Turtanich can spend millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars on outside counsel to drag it out, and I only want a fraction. As Matt Dowd would say, that is fucked up.
Hey, Mr. City Attorney. Mr. City Attorney.
The Speaker has disrupted this meeting, and the Council President could request the guards to escort the gentleman out.
Yeah, I'd like you to escort him out and tell them if they speak in address to us, sergeants, that they use language that's not inappropriate. Thank you very much. If you could escort them both out and know that.
And if there is a disruption of the meeting.
If you want to, Mr. City Attorney. Thank you. Let's clarify that. I think they're taking advantage of public comment. Daniel, come on up, Daniel. It's disrupting the meeting. The gentleman's disrupting the meeting. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Daniel.
Good morning. No F words here. The pictures are going to speak volumes. This is a picture of a deer who was impaled last week. Her guts and her organs are spilling out. You can see her kidneys. You can see her stomach. This is her head. You can see she's alive in a pool of blood. Animal Services showed up to help this impaled deer, and they couldn't do anything for her over 4 hours because they don't have firearms to put an impaled animal out of her misery. Animal Services doesn't have a gun in the field to put out an impaled animal. There she is alive in a pool of her blood. There are her organs spilling out. Now, I have to wonder, if we had today a dangerous dog attack with a dog clamping down on a child's head, and Animal Services shows up without a gun, what will City Council have to say about that? And as Phyllis Doherty said, and since this is now under Paul Koretz's purview, I hope Mr. Koretz will have somebody contact me to see exactly that this happened. As Ms. Doherty said, there are no captains at Animal Services today. Not in East Valley, West Valley, North Central, West LA, Harbor. Did Brenda Barnett advise City Council that there are no captains? What about Captain Nipsher if we have an earthquake today? What's the evacuation process? It's chaos. And this is what happens when you have a corrupt commissioner who's now gone. But I strongly suggest that City Council has an emergency session because right now the city is in absolute peril. No guns to help an impaled animal, no guns to help the public if there is a dangerous dog situation, and no captains if there's an emergency like an earthquake. We are in big trouble. Thank you.
Thank you. That completes public comment. Madam Clerk, what's the next item?
Mr. President, now that there are 13 members, do you wish to reconsider item 3, the ordinance?
Absolutely. Let's vote for reconsideration.
Yes.
Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Okay, for reconsideration.
And Mr. President, now you may, the item is before you. You may, council may vote on it if you wish.
Yeah, no one on the queue. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
So ordered forthwith. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Item number 1, call special for cards.
There's only one card, and the gentleman has been removed from council. So there's no speakers on the queue. Excuse me, what is the item? When I speak to the microphone and
The Department of Building and Safety requests that this matter be continued.
This matter will be continued for 30 days. The request of the councilman of the 7th District. So ordered. Next item.
That item will be continued to March 16th. Next item is item 13, call special for...
Yes, there's one card. This gentleman has left the council chambers. There's no speakers on the queue. Open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
Next item.
Item 14, call special for cards.
There's 3 cards. The first 2 cards, people are no longer in the chambers. Card is Pat McCosker, United Firefighters. Pat McCosker here.
Morning, council members. Happy Valentine's Day. Pat McCosker, United Firefighters. Item 14 and 15, I believe, are related to the heavy winds that we had over 2 days on November, 31st and December 1st. I want you to know that the fire department had 3,800 emergencies that we were called for over those 2 days, and that we had a heck of a time handling it. In fact, we didn't handle it. In spite of the hard work of the rank and file, they were not able to handle every emergency. Our dispatchers, right here from City Hall, had to tell callers that we had no one available. We couldn't send anyone. You'll have to handle it yourself. We had to, in the field, turn to citizen volunteers and leave them in charge of the wires down. We had more than 400 incidents of high voltage wires laying down, a danger to anybody that might walk by. We had to leave them in the hands of citizens. So we were not able to handle the emergencies because we're dangerously understaffed right now. We have about half of the on-duty staffing every day of other major fire departments in this country. And so I'm calling on you to work with us in this year's budget to start restoring the closed fire companies. You know, we staffed up that day, and it wasn't enough. So you're being sold a bill of goods when you're told that your fire department is staffed well enough right now. We are not, and we need to restaff up. What did work, by the way, was our dispatch center. And I don't know if you know this, because I don't think you're driving this, but Fire Administration is looking at dismantling the finest dispatch center in the United States of America. The fact that we have them on duty 24 hours a day, platoon duty, and are able to recall those that are off on break and put them on the floor when we need to, save lives that day. And so we should not dismantle the finest dispatch center in America. Work with me on that. And we need to start staffing up a little at a time over a 5-year period, much like we restored fire company staffing about 8 or 10 years ago with your help. We need to restore your fire department right now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. There's no speakers on the queue. Let's open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
All right, next item, please.
Item 15, call special by Councilmember Huizar, and for cards.
The public card is no longer in the room. Mr. Dowd, Mr. Huizar.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I'd ask that if we could refer this item back to Energy and Environment Committee. This item was heard in Public Safety, and they did a good job of discussing it there, but there are some additional questions that I have. I introduced this motion along with Councilmember Rosenthal to see how the Department of Water and Power, Sanitation and Street Services responded to our windstorm that occurred on November 30th, 2011. My constituents in northeast Los Angeles were one of the hardest hit areas of the city, with close to 43,000 residents without power. The Department of Water and Power deployed over 100 crews, responding to over 1,000 separate incidents in its initial stages of deployment. But many residents of the northeast and elsewhere did not get power back until 3 to 4 days after the power outage. Now, in comparison to other agencies, most notably Southern California Edison, our departments fared much better and should be commended for their commitment to restoring service. And so we need to first and foremost thank them and the men and women who put in their hours to respond in this very difficult time for the city. But I do want to know how were services prioritized by DWP. For example, during the outages, is there an emergency plan in place for these type of large-scale outages, and how do they determine where they are sending resources, as limited as they are? Specifically, we would like to know from the Department of Water and Power how they prioritize the crews that they sent out throughout the city of Los Angeles. Also, during the outages, while again the department did a good job of trying to communicate as best they could with people who had no power, initially people were told 24 to 48 hours, and then in many cases were told the same thing 2 days later. I heard from constituents who were told that they had a more accurate assessment. They would have made other arrangements if they had had better information. With respect to the Bureau of Sanitation, again, I want to thank the Bureau and the street services for their hard work as well during the emergency. My office was on the phone with both BSS and the Department of Water and Power, doing our best to coordinate efforts so our constituents would be without service so that our constituents would be with service and got their streets cleaned up and their trash picked up as quickly as possible. However, I would like to know, for example, how the Bureau of Sanitation, since the city is on an automated system where curbside pickup is done without drivers ever getting out of the truck, what sort of challenges they face removing debris that did not fit into the garbage containers. I know that that was an issue for many people in the Northeast, and I want to know how we would address this in the future.
All right, that being said, do you want this back to committee?
Yes, sir. I also want to, Mr. President, and I ask that we need to have a more in-depth discussion and not have a report back for the sake of having a report back, but really answer and address these issues. Our constituents deserve a better answer than we've given them so far.
And let's invite the neighborhood councils to that committee meeting so they can have input. Good idea, Mr. Huizar. Any objection to sending this back to committee?
In public safety, now we want to refer it to E&E.
E&E. So let's just go on E&E. Thank Water and Power for being here. And the fire department, we're going to send that to E&E. The city engineer's here. There's no other speakers on the queue. We're sending it back to committee. Joe?
Mr. President, if I can bring the fire department to the table, just had a question for them.
A question for the fire department.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. If you can kindly find a seat and introduce yourselves, please.
Morning, Councilman. John Vidovich, Chief of Staff.
Good morning, council members. Trevor Richmond, Battalion Chief, Planning Section Commander.
I also want to take a time to echo what Pat McCosker said about the fine work the men and women of the fire department and the rest of the city family did during the times of these winds that really affected a lot of residents in our city. My question is, I understand that the DWP reimburses the fire department for checking up on the fire hydrants. Do we plan on having the DWP reimburse the fire department for responding to these over 100 down power lines?
Councilman, the DWP does reimburse the fire department for the testing of fire hydrants. In regards to the wires down incidents, during that 24-hour period that Mr. McCosker mentioned, we responded to over 500 types of those calls. Currently, the department is not reimbursed for providing that service.
They do not?
Currently, they do not.
Okay. Just want the committee to make aware of that, and that's something that we need to look forward to and working with the DWP to find a way to reimburse the fire department for these types of issues and these types of public safety concerns that I have and my constituents have. That's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Mr. Koretz.
I just wanted to speak in agreement with that last statement. I think it hasn't been a practice of the DWP to reimburse the fire department for these kinds of things, and I think it really should, especially as we struggle to fund the fire department adequately. I think those hours absolutely have to be reimbursed. So I'd also like to encourage us to continue to move in that direction.
Well, I think this has to be fully discussed because the Water and Power doesn't send a bill to you for the water you use. So I think we should figure this thing out. Any other speakers? Mr. Rosendahl.
Hydric testing, how much do we get for that? You know what I'm talking about?
About 1.2?
About 1.2
Yeah,
million.
approximately 1.2 million annually.
1.2 million.
Yes, sir.
In my district, there are many areas where I worry about the trees and the wind. do we take a look at do any preemptive stuff? For instance, National Boulevard right off of Centinela, unfortunately near this airport, the Santa Monica Airport. That street that goes down to Barrington, that particular block has some beautiful trees that I tell you, with a push of the hand, I could maybe knock some of them over. And I know throughout my district there are different spots where trees are large and beautiful, but in some cases they look problematic. On that particular block, just as an example, on National, literally several trees have fallen down, not in the last windstorm, but last year and the year before. And so I just wonder what kind of preemptive strategy or attitudes can we do so when constituents come to me and they're worried about a certain tree, what can we do?
Well, you know, one of the things our firefighters are day in and day out in the streets.
Yeah,
and
I know.
And on these particular wind incidents, we responded to over 31 trees that had fallen that our men and women cut to provide access for the residents within the community.
Yeah.
Men and women of our department are full all service, and when they see a hazard, they know to contact Public Works and make those notifications. If it's immediate life hazard, they're going to address the issue. It's not only fire and EMS; we're all full service department.
Sure. I saw Gary Lee Moore. Is he still around?
City Engineer Gary Lee Moore.
He was just standing around. Okay. Well, that's an ongoing conversation among all of us. Thank you very much for what you do.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
The Councilman of the 12th, Mitch Englander. Mitch.
Yeah. First of all, I wanted to thank you for the terrific job that the fire department did in responding as well. It wasn't just the number of responses, it was the time as well. And we know that we've got to restore fire services in the city. There was a couple comments made. I just want to clarify for the record. It was stated that we didn't have a lot of focus on this. But the fact is, we did. We brought this to committee, which is what motions do. We didn't have a quorum. Councilman Zine and I sat there and listened to LAPD, LAFD, EMD, LADWP, and sanitation all present their emergency plans, the response, what had happened. All council members are more than welcome to come to those committees. And so I just want to share that the fire department and other departments did respond, did show up to committee, did give lengthy presentations and go through all of their practices and what had occurred and best practices, lessons learned, and I truly appreciate that. That's what committees are for. It was also asked about reimbursements from fire, and I just want to suggest that that's a can of worms. We can always visit that, but an issue of interdepartmental charges for emergency response certainly opens up other challenges. For example, I don't believe the fire department gets charged right now for the water from DWP that we use out of the hydrants. So these are things we've got to consider the totality of all of those, not only logistics and billings, but ultimately it's the cost on the backs of the ratepayers and the taxpayers. Somebody ultimately pays anytime we start charging more and try to recoup those efforts. So we've got to look at that very, very carefully. But in any event, I wanted to thank you for coming to the committee and making those presentations. Thank Mr. Zine for attending that committee as well, and look forward to bringing these items back for further consideration. Thank you.
No other speakers on the queue. No departments want to state anything. We got the fire department, so this is ordered back to committee. So ordered. Next item.
Item 21, call special for cards.
Sean Murphy, the only card.
Yes, I'm for this project. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have one other card. The gentleman has left the chambers. Any speakers on the queue? So open the roll, close the roll, tabulate the vote. Next item.
14 ayes.
Item 22, call special for cards.
Sean Murphy, that's you.
For the record, what's item 22?
Sean, I want you to be prepared when you come up here.
I'm sorry.
There's an agenda back there. Look right up here, Sean.
Yeah. I think I'm against this project. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sean. Have a good ride back to North Hollywood. Appreciate it. No other speakers on the queue. 2 other gentlemen have left the chambers. Open the roll. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
So ordered. Next item.
Item 24, it's a closed session item. There's also cards on this item.
There's 1 card, and the gentleman's not in the chambers, so there's no cards. We're hereby, Mr. City Attorney, make an announcement, please, on the next item.
Council is recessing into closed session pursuant to 54956.9A to consider the case of California X-Rail Sherwin versus Office Depot and whether to engage legal outside counsel in this matter.
Very good. Thank you. Sergeants, would you prepare the John Farrar chambers for executive session? We thank staff, only those who are responsible for this item, to remain. Others, we're going to clear the chambers for executive session. Thank you.
Property theft has spiked in the area the past year due to easy access for thieves. Almost 80% of car theft occurs because of unlocked doors. Locking your doors takes a matter of seconds and can become so routine that you may forget whether you locked your doors or not. But it's worth the effort to double check. The more successful thieves are at taking items out of a car, the more chances they are going to come back to that area. Don't let our town be that area. One simple precaution is to hide or cover any valuable items when leaving your car unattended. Simple actions like these can prevent you from becoming a victim of property theft. The Los Angeles Police Department would like you to remember, lock it or lose it.
investigating a series of bizarre and disturbing attacks that have left children in cities from coast to coast injured and fearing for their safety. As Global's Anna Gebauer tells us, the young victims were targeted simply because of the color of their hair.
State Veteran Law. We begin with an Eyewitness News exclusive disturbing video of a gay man being beaten in Queens.
The individual was attacked simply for his orientation, and we're just not going to tolerate it.
The word hate is just unexcusable. It's a word that shouldn't be used, and to hate somebody for the color of their skin is just not right.
It creates fear among all of the community members.
I think it's wrong how people discriminate against others just because of the way they prefer people, as in gays or just their skin color. It's wrong, and something needs to be done. A hate crime is any criminal act directed against a person based on the victim's actual or perceived nationality, religion, sexual orientation, disability, gender, and especially race. Examples of hate crimes include acts which result in injury even if the injury is slight, threats of violence that look like they can be carried out, acts which result in property damage, any criminal act or attempted criminal act, including property damage directed against public or private agencies.
The suspect can spend up to 1 year in jail, and if it's a felony, it could either be between 2 and 4 years for a prison sentence.
If you believe a hate crime has occurred or will occur, you are very much encouraged to contact the Los Angeles Police Department or the We Tip hotline. Public cooperation is often essential in solving hate crimes. We Tip hotline, 909-987-5005.
never had a traffic accident like this before, where a teenager has decided to run from the police and been struck by a motor vehicle.
5859 Kia 5060 watch 3.
Curfew laws restrict the right of juveniles to be outdoors or in the public places after 10 p.m. until sunrise the next day. Such laws aim to establish a safer community and to better protect people from becoming victims of crimes or becoming involved in a crime. Most people don't agree with our curfew laws and would rather run the risk of being picked up by the police and ticketed for violation of curfew. However, they are more likely to run into the many real dangers that face us every time we go out at night.
We found that kids out so late are normally caught up in violence, traffic accidents, and that's no good. Some of these kids still they're not aware of the law, and they're not educated on it.
Drinking, drugs, sexual predators, and gang-related activities are only few of the dangers we face regardless of how young or old you are. If you are under the age of 18, this law applies to you. What happens if you are caught? You will be taken to the station where the ticket is written out to you and your parent or guardian are called to pick you up. If your parent cannot pick you up, you will be placed into a protective custody or sent to a juvenile facility.
Guardian at something like an event such as Grill Beach.
The guardian is not just someone appointed to by the parents. A guardian is someone appointed by the courts.
You can legally stay out late if you are participating in a religious, educational, or political activity, accompanied by a parent or guardian, going to or from their place of employment, responding to some type of emergency, returning home from school, cultural, or recreation activity.
And that's our message, is not only enforcing the curfew violation, but also educating them that they need to stay home and stay safe.
The curfew laws are not just here to protect us, they're here to protect the safety of everyone in our community.
All right, Sergeant, are we open now? We're open. Mr. City Attorney, could you tell us that you're ready to go to the clerk? And we'll go to the clerk. Madam Clerk, please tell us what's before us.
Mr. President, the recommendation is to authorize the city attorney to enter into a contract to retain the law firm of Phillips & Cohen as outside counsel for the purpose of assisting the office of the city attorney in the case entitled California Ex-Relator Sherwin versus the Office Depot. Also, to waive any conflict of interest in connection with Phillips & Cohen representing other public entities on similar grounds and similar claims as the city's lawsuit.
Thank you very much. Mr. City Attorney.
And moreover, council is directing the city attorney's office to intervene in the entitled action through the law firm of Phillips & Cohen.
Thank you very much. So let's open the roll on this matter. Close the roll, tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
12 ayes. Mr. Weezer on another matter.
And for
the record, Mr. City
For the
Attorney.
record, the vote in closed session on this item was 13-0 with council members Reyes and Wesson absent.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd ask if we could reconsider item number 3 from the agenda of Friday, February 10th, Council File number 11-1422. It is a building and safety matter dealing with some constituents who needed some more time. It was continued to March 13th, but that is, we're out of session, so I would like to reconsider it and agendize it for March 20th.
Very well. Very good, Mr. Weezer. Very good. Madam Clerk, let's open the roll for reconsideration. Close the roll. Tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
All right, so ordered on the recommendation of Mr. Weezer that it be on that date. For the record, you have that correct, Madam Clerk?
Yes, the item will be continued to March 20th.
Thank you very much. And no other business directly, Madam?
Council has motions for posting and referral.
So ordered.
That clears the desk.
Okay, any announcements? Great Councilman of the 15th.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, I stand to congratulate Don Liu, my chief of staff, and his lovely wife, Chris, celebrating today their 25th wedding anniversary on Valentine's Day.
Oh, that's good.
And the Lius have been part of the city family for many years, and both Chris and Don are very active in the San Pedro community, very much so at the Holy Trinity Parish. So they have 4 lovely kids who have you seen running around the halls, including Rebecca, who I believe works for Council President Wesson. But we stand to congratulate both Don and Chris on their 25th wedding anniversary. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Any other announcements? Mr. Krikorian.
Thank you, Mr. President. I previously announced that coming up on March 10th, I will be hosting the 2nd Annual Los Angeles Student Media Festival. I'm pleased to let Council know that we now have our 32 finalists for the festival, and many of you are represented in the festival. Mr. Cardenas has some finalists, Mr. Zine has finalists, Mr. Kretz has a finalist, Mr. Buscaino has a finalist from San Pedro High, Mr. Englander from John F. Kennedy, Mr. Wesson, and Mr. Parks all represent finalists in the Student Media Festival, which this year was open to students from throughout Los Angeles County. So it'll be taking place on Saturday, March 10th. We have a reception at 4 p.m. and then the show begins at 5. Tickets are free, but you need to reserve them in advance at LASMF, that's LA Student Media Festival, lasmf.lacity.org.
Thank you, Mr. Krikorian. Very good. No other announcements before us. Are there any adjourning motions? No adjourning motions. The work of the council today is complete. Go out and serve the people of Los Angeles well. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Thank you very much.